So in the end of the session, you're going to be able to evaluate, and you being a brand ambassador, a lot of this stuff you already know about, and I know exactly what you do, and it is really, really important. I remembered when these all started years ago here in Los Angeles, we had brand ambassadors for alcohol, and they would go into bars and with the alcohol and give people, samples, and they would, expose. And that's really, it's kind of like when we were talking about years and years ago, and I know the concepts that I'm going to talk about really go back a long way, but I also will bring it up to today, which I'm totally involved in what is going on. And what is going on right now is the earned media and influencer marketing. And that's two of the biggest things that we're really talking about. Instagram, big, big, big for a specific demographic, but things constantly change. So we're going to be evaluating brands. That's kind of where we are right now, and the strategies as such. Again, it's really difficult, to really say this is going to work. We're going to, like we've been talking about rebranding. There's no guarantee. And Universal Pictures, and I know this now, I'm going to take you back a ways, but real life, experience and stories really work. And I was working on a film called A Boy's Life. And we tested the film, and we tested the advertising and the logo and everything that we possibly could. That we call that the title treatment. And nobody understood what the heck we were talking about. And so after many, many focus groups, we decided that we needed to give the film a name that people would be able to walk away and, through word of mouth, not to say we're not doing the same things, but where we were telling, our friends back in those days, now we're able to tell thousands of people in the blink of an eye, and in Twitter or whatever you use. So we rebranded the name of the film, and it was called E.T. So that'll kind of give you sort of an indication if you saw it. Back then, A Boy's Life, I mean, it meant nothing. That was like being a Cub Scout. So anyway, we were talking about jazzercising, and like in 1980, this thing came out, and it was real trendy, and people were using it. And then in 2015, they relaunched it. We call it a rebranding campaign. And you've read a little bit about it, and again, it's hit or miss. They hired an agency, and they came up with all these concepts. Like one of the things, I'm not sure you know about this Affleck duck. I had some videos about that, and I taught in another marketing MBA class about the Affleck duck and how that they branded an insurance company with a duck. Or, this gal Flo that does the insurance for the other company. So anyway, there's so many things that you have to look at, but the most important thing for me, I mean, you could have a zillion different types of logos and different kinds of strategies. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, and many different marketing objectives. However, research, testing is the most important thing, and I'll explain why. So I had a friend who he got this idea that women like the color pink, and he invested millions and millions of dollars in vacuum cleaners that were pink. And he went to China, and they had them manufactured, and he had them brought over to the United States, and he went around to different stores, and like the store owner said, hey, I don't want to carry that. It looks like vomit. You know, it was like terrible. Anyway, nobody wanted it because he didn't test the concept. Okay. And so he lost millions and millions and millions of dollars. Had he done a focus group or done some kind of research, he would have found out that women, and that's really, you know, like kind of really, you know, biased and stereotypical. Women don't want a vacuum cleaner that's pink. They want one that's functional. And if you look at, you know, the Dyson, which is a very hip and trendy vacuum cleaner, the Shark. So, you know, they brand these things. They all have machines, you know, motors in them, but the look is really, you know, used to get the consumer excited about the product. So let's take a look at this. It's coming.
We're gonna do some jazzercise that'll keep you fit and smiling, sugar. Swing that arm. There you go. Smile, for heaven's sake. Yeah. You ready? Now find that beat. There it is. Oh yeah. That's good. Ho. Now stop. Release, contract, release, contract, release. There you go. Smiling, smiling, smiling. Now to the pelvis. Front, back, front, back. Push it, pull it, push it, pull it. Yeah. There you go. Now your favorite thing, the hips, sugar. Come on and shake that cute little booty of yours. Ow! Ha! Yeah. Hup, 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 hup. Now, here we go. Feel that beat. We're gonna play a little b-ball now. You, me, and all of us jazzercisers together. Here we go. You gotta strut your stuff. That's good. You take it out, 10 in, all right.
Wow. So it's a big difference from the beginning to which was trendy at the time, and now cardio workouts here in Los Angeles, anyway. I mean, they're close by, and people are going, men, women, nurses. Anyway, it's very trendy, very hip. We're more conscious of what we're putting into our bodies, and it isn't like, you know, funky and creepy like the other one. Although I got to be honest, I mean, I remember it, and I remember Jane Fonda did the same kind of a thing. And what sold that was her stuff was Jane Fonda. But you know, in the '80s, you were getting disco music. Now it's hip, trendy. It's hip hop. Things are happening. It's a lot of movement, a lot of excitement, a lot of socialization. We are so networked on these computers. This gives people an opportunity to meet new people. Although, see, they missed the mark completely in the advertising, because that's where I would have gone. You know, I would have said, hey, you know, great workout, give you an opportunity to engage other people. It's a social event, you know, whatever. And I think, you know, and that's, of course, they didn't hire me, but who knows, you know, whatever. Everybody has a different concept. I think I was once asked, you know, I did like a campaign for a movie called A Beautiful Mind, and I spent just in the weeks up to the Academy Awards, I spent $17 million in print advertising. Today, that would be probably around $30 million. And one of my students said, you know, well, Professor, what would happen if you spent that kind of money and you didn't get, you know, the outcome that you were looking for? And there is an easy answer to that question, and that is try something else. You know, don't let it sit out there. So a product has a life cycle, and you know, and a life cycle is you launch it and you grow it and it comes to maturity, and then at the decline, that's when everybody starts putting money into it. And I got a little chart here that's kind of cool. So we start putting money into this, and then we have like product extension. And that's at that point, at that maturity point before decline, that's when we start to rebrand it. Now, I have to be honest with you, in my concepts of marketing, I would rebrand it way before the decline of the product, because it makes it hip and trendy. When you put a new face on a product that you're already using, it gives the perception that it's a new product, and you could still be putting out the same crap. It's just got a new face. You know, what? So anyway, we have a product extension. At that point also, we can have what's called a brand extension. And a brand extension is taking the brand and bringing out a new product. In that situation with the Jazzercise, and you can have, you know, Kidsercise, which is, you know, mommy and me jumping up and down with their little kids at like a mommy and me at the same place. So the way Jazzercise works is you're going there, you're renting a space, you're getting instruction. So there's downtime, and in those downtimes, why not baby stuff? You know, like we had here Gymboree when my daughter was a little kid. So anyway, looking at the product life cycle, and I'm sure in your products, I think you said it was real estate or something to that degree. But we'll talk in a bit and you can tell me. But honestly, any brand can be extended, and any brand can have a product extension, but it requires a couple of things. It requires time, innovation, money, and the most important thing is implementation, to implement it. All right, so let's take a look at this.
Redefining a brand can be risky. When consumers said no to the packaging redesign of Tropicana Pure Premium Orange Juice, they had to bring back the old look. So why do companies often change the look of their brands? Val DeFibo is president of the advertising agency Deutsch in New York. Good morning, Val.
Good morning, Julie.
If it ain't broke, why they try fixing it?
You know, I think the answer is really simple. Brands are looking for innovation, for news, reasons to be modern. And, you know, the competitive marketplace is very aggressive. So to be a vital brand, you need to be innovative. And so people are looking for that.
Okay, but sometimes it doesn't work, as in Tropicana's case.
Right.
Let's put up on the screen, side by side, their old look on the left and then the new design. What didn't work?
What doesn't work is the package is unrecognizable as the Tropicana brand. So when people went to shelf, They had no idea where their brand was.
That's absolutely right, because I would walk past it, and I love Tropicana, and I wouldn't buy that because I wouldn't even know it's Tropicana.
I did walk past it. So that's exactly, what you're missing there is the signature icon of the orange with the straw pierced through it. You're missing the logo, the lockup of the type. It just looks completely different, and again, unrecognizable to a shopper.
How long did it take them to figure out this ain't working?
They heard pretty quickly from consumers on blogs, on, where people talk. They heard pretty quickly. But where you see it is in sales. So, they know. They know it wasn't working. So not long.
Okay.
Introduced in January, off the shelf. No.
Yeah, if their profit margin goes down, they're like, we're bringing back the old.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about sometimes companies actually change their products. I mean, Tropicana still had the same orange juice in that carton, but Coke did something weird years ago where they completely changed the formula. That's the original Coca-Cola. Why did they change the product?
They were facing a lot of aggression from Pepsi. They saw themselves saying, we need to do something different. They went out and did tons of taste tests and found out that people in blind tests would choose Pepsi. So they said, guess we need to change our product. What they didn't do was think about the emotional connection people have with that Coke brand that they hold in their hand and that says something so meaningful about them. Coke's the real thing. Why are you changing that? So that's the piece they underestimated, the emotional tie that people have to that brand.
Which is why they had to bring back Classic Coke.
Classic Coke.
And then did it fix the problem when they did that?
They more than fixed the problem. I mean, one of the things they saw was the loyalty to the brand that they had underestimated because people boycotted the new and said, give me back that thing I love. There's nothing more you want to hear about a brand than I love that brand.
Maybe it was a trick. It was a trick, so people would be like, we love it. We're going to go buy it, bring it back.
Some have said that.
Okay. Let's talk about Pepsi, because they recently got a new emblem, and a lot of people said, oh, it looks like the Obama campaign emblem. Right. Was this a good move, bad move?
I think what Pepsi's done is their logo looks very similar, very recognizable as the Pepsi logo for generations. And so I think they've done a nice job of modernizing it. I think it looks like Pepsi. There is no mistaking that that's a Pepsi in your hand or on a vending machine. I think they've done a really great job of, modernizing that, making it approachable and very, of today.
Val DeFivo, we are out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So it's always good to look at real life situations. We could sit and read textbooks until our eyes are popping out of our heads. And trust me, I've read many, 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 until I got to a point where I thought, okay, concepts are concepts, but reality is really reality. So the consumer comes out and says, goes out and says, I want to buy something. So they look at the brand, and there's a brand process, a promise. Okay, so you take control of your weight by replacing your favorite snack with Graze. Okay, so I'm going to lose weight. Brand story, real life stories that show women living all the pleasure, none of the guilt. So you see that they're sitting in there. Like on the beach chair, there's a gal, Jamie Jamison or whatever, she's on that with the South Beach diet. Okay, so innovation, short-term novelty. We never sacrifice on taste. It's again the promise, but we make it believable as marketers. Purchase moment, okay? So the interrupt. We go out and we look at products. There are other products, but what makes this product more attractive to the other products? And then finally, we celebrate the weight loss results to empower. What happens if you don't lose any weight? Okay. Then years ago, you go next door and you tell your friend this stuff sucks. Today, we go to the internet and we go where people are listening, and we become influencers, and that's where everything changed. So we could reach a myriad of people rather than just one or two, and this is what's dangerous for a brand, because if the word gets out that the product sucks, there's no amount of money that they could put into it that's going to change that. And that's when you see those reviews on Amazon. Some are, realistic, others are kind of phony, or you see, on eBay or whatever, Yelp. You have to use your own judgment and determine whether that is, valid. And again, you may buy it. I've seen people buy these wrinkle creams and they get it home and they have this belief that it's going to work because they saw it on TV. And, you can't rebrand. Well, you can, you call it, you change the name from like Miracle Eye Cream to crap. And then, and it is. And what do they do with that stuff? They sell it for 50 cents at the 99-cent store. So what do we do? How to rebrand?
Are you considering rebranding or revitalizing your product, service or business? Is your brand underperforming? Or is your message just not hitting your target audience appropriately anymore? The reasons for rebranding or relaunching your brand are numerous and should not be taken lightly. Having said that though, all brands need to be updated or revitalized at some stage. Let me share with you some of the most common reasons for rebranding that come up amongst our clients. Maybe some of them are relevant to you and your brand. Relevance. Is your brand out of touch with the market, stagnated and in need of an update to keep pace with changing customer needs? Or competition? Are your competitors eating into your market share? Maybe your brand needs a change and an update in order to get a price increase. Or outgrowth. Is your business growing? As smaller businesses grow into bigger entities, often their brands need updating and changing to meet the changing needs of the bigger business and their expanding customer base. Or innovation. Have you got a great new product or service you're launching to market, and as part of that launch you need to rebrand to get your exciting new offering into market for your change-hungry customers? Or reputation. Has your brand become damaged in terms of reputation or external perceptions? Have you made major changes to address those problems and are now in need of a rebrand to get your new message out to market and to disassociate from the old? These are just some of the most common reasons for rebranding. The question is, are any of these relevant to you? And if so, to what level does your brand need revitalization or a total rebrand to grow your business? Does it need an evolutionary update to move it forward and keep it relevant? Or is it really weak and underperforming? In fact, in need of a complete rebrand to help you grow your business.
So we know that rebranding has a reason, and it could be, well, let's get to the basics. What's the purpose of rebranding? To make more money, to build market share, create even more awareness of our product. Just by saying the all new, floor mop, right there is a form of rebranding. But then as a consumer, and we're really smart now, what's new? What's new about it? So let's just look at one more video on branding. What is actual branding? advertising brand at the end. You are a brand. Okay, you're the product. You, as I noted in a previous lecture, you demand or command a price for the work you do. Where you want to work is the place. And telling people that you're available to work is your promotion, is building awareness and creating a need for a product or service. So week 3, you have this amazing paper, and I looked at it, and the thing I thought about was, it says a short paper, but it's impossible to do a short paper, so it's a good idea to get started. Once again, I'm not going to go through a lot of this because you could get the PowerPoint and just go through it, slide by slide, but just a couple of little notes. Observations must be supported with a reference. This is a research paper, so you want to make sure that you're doing research. Just don't make stuff up, because I'll know it. Let's keep going. So the milestones established, you've without a strong sense of, you could read all of this. This is like, I'm not going to go through that. Do you ever go to these PowerPoint presentations and they read every little thing, and you you put your fingers in your mouth and you're biting your nails in order to stay awake. So let's talk about what this paper is about and what I'm looking for. Because honestly, you're not only doing the paper for you, but you're doing it, for me to determine whether you understand the concepts. So that's why, I don't want you freaking out and going, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Just write me. If you feel any kind of anticipatory anxiety, just email me and with your questions, and I will be more than happy to calm you down. Okay, so the milestones, which you're going to do, you're going to have this huge paper at the end, but we've broken it down. And without a good sense of the organization's purpose within the marketplace, knowledge of consumer trends, and how to meet target market needs at the appropriate price. So anyway, remember something. They're throwing this out. They're telling you hey there, just the two of us. Yes, oh geez again. Well, you know what, you guys, you're going to get your papers right. Wouldn't it be amazing if the fact that you came to this lecture and you got an A on your paper because you did come to the lecture? Wow. It's kind of like you come to the lectures, you learn a lot, or you read them, or you watch the video. So anyway, let's go through some of this stuff. The milestones establish how the organization so we're not talking about milestones of the company. We're talking about milestones you're going to put through. So there's, your papers. Now we get into specifics. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your idea from your 515 class, and you're going to write a short paper. Now, I got to be honest with you. There's no way on planet Earth that you can write this in a short paper. A short paper to me would be, 3-4 pages. Because also in your course, it says 8 to 10 pages. Now, don't freak out, because these are APA formatted pages. So, you're probably looking more like 4 or 5 pages in APA format, which will come about 8. Okay, now, so here's what you're going to do. The corporate mission and how the new product or service aligns with it. Okay, so the first question you're going to have is, what happens if they don't have a new product or service? So, I don't know. I guess you'll have to use their current product or service and sort of make the assumption for the paper that that's their new product or service. Well, it is if that's the latest product or service. So, defining features of the products or services, how the product will be marketed internally and externally. Okay, now that if you look at a SWOT analysis, that's where this is really going to. But in your next paper, you're going to be doing that. So when we say marketing internally, we're talking about your process. What are you planning on doing internally to market the product? What are you planning on doing externally to market the product? How the company is differentiating from the competition. Well, one of the things is short-term novelty. Perhaps they're being real innovative, disruptive innovation, which is, the Clayton Christensen thing, which I'll bring a video in next week and you can see a little of that. Really good stuff. Anyway, don't overcomplicate this. How the company is differentiating from competition. It's really simple. You find a resource, you look at it. How is Ford differentiating from its competition? You Google it. See what you can come up with. Alignment of pricing with market position and the corporate mission. Well, in order to find the mission of the company, you have to go to their website or look for their mission statement. So what's happening with their pricing in comparison to their competition? Hopefully you picked a product or a service that has a lot of competition. Remember, I told you at the beginning, pick something that, it's a big company with a lot of products and your substantiated opinion of brand effectiveness. What we mean by substantiated opinion, it means you need to prove using your resources, what your opinion's based on of the brand effectiveness. Not just Pepsi has $70 billion, dollars and da da da. Well, that's great. So, where'd you get that? What does it mean? Why did you write that? You don't have to go, write pages and pages and pages, but answer the questions. It's that easy. And the best way to do it, I'll show you in a minute how to do it. So you're going to talk about behavior or lifestyle demographics of the targeted consumer. Now, behavioral is what people do. How do they behave? What do they do in the marketplace? Their lifestyle. Would somebody buy a Toyota if they made $100 million? Probably not. They'd buy a Mercedes. So who do you target to? What's your demographic? What unsatisfied need does the product service fulfill? Hey, we need milk. Some people don't like milk. So they came up with almond milk. So the unsatisfied, need, or we also call that cognitive dissonance, is, what does it fill? Now, yours may not. You may say, it doesn't. Your product may not lend itself to that, but explain why it wouldn't. Okay, that's all you're really doing. How the customer buyer seeks information to fill the need. They can go on the internet. If it's a car, they can go to the market and read the labels. They could see advertising. There's a myriad of ways. How the product is purchased. Is it purchased online? Is it purchased at a brick and mortar? And explain why, how it's purchased. Where do you do it? These are not complicated questions. Why your chosen target market is the best choice. If I had time, I'll probably talk about this next week, and I'll talk about marketing and segmentation. But, consider this. Here's a real quick example. If you take an orange, and inside the orange is a bunch of segments, okay? And each one of those segments represents a different age group or demographic. And that's how you find your target audience. So let's say women who buy diapers. Okay, because the majority of women really do buy diapers. We know that. So what's the age group? The majority of women that buy diapers. 18 to 34, 18 to 48. It may be 18 to 34, which seems to be the largest population. You can get that information from the census. Plenty of places. Look it up. Who buys diapers? Then you have fringe, the people on the outside. So you got, the 35 to 48. You don't have much after that because, people aren't having babies in their fifth. They very rarely, but we have other situations. We have adoptions, which is, again, but it's not as big as the baby population of 18 to 34. So let's keep going here. I want to go as fast as I can. So you're going to talk about pricing, explain the fixed and variable costs and how these fit with the company's short and long-term goals. If you don't understand what fixed and variable costs are, Google it. But fixed costs are any cost that you cannot live without, and variable costs would usually be your marketing expenditures, because you could, if you only have $1,000, and you can't advertise your product. I mean, you have to figure out what variables, where you're going to advertise your product. Once again, it takes money. Use a narrative with a table to show calculations for cost categories. Again, you can get all of this stuff in your book or online, and provide reasonable estimates for each of the categories. Examine competitors' pricing and explain your reasoning for the differences between yours and theirs. Perhaps your product is cheaper, and that's the way they get a bigger market audience, bigger, buyer audience. Estimate how much you think the target market is willing to pay. Again, most of these things are based on your reading. Your textbook is a valid resource. What pricing strategy? These you look up: skimming, penetration, economy, or premium. They're all in your book, and you'll get definitions. So you can also Google it if you don't want to go to your book. All right. So let's talk about what the paper should look like, and then we'll go from there. The reason why I'm talking about it now is I would get a head start on it. It's Thursday. You're going to start this on Monday. I would start thinking about it now. So you'll use an APA format, double spacing, 12-point font. It should be, remember I said a short paper? Well, this is their short paper, 8 to 10 pages in length. Follow APA formatting. References cannot be older than 5 years. If they are, just text me and let me know what it is, and just kind of give me a real brief example of why you need that. Why is it important to the paper? And peer review resources. I usually, if you can get 50% peer review, I'm okay with that. So the paper, you got to have a title page. Make sure you use the word running head up here. I'm not sure whether I gave you a template. I think I did in this class. And kind of, that's what so this is what I'm really looking for. Type, table of contents, it's not that difficult. And then your resources. If you want to embed your chart, which I wouldn't, I would put it in appendix because it breaks everything up and you could just reference it. That's kind of it. Okay, again, this is all about your paper, just little things. I know it sounds, like a lot, but it's no different than what you've been doing for the last 6 years, I'm sure, if you've been doing APA papers. This is just a review of what I look for. Remember, it's just a small part of your grade, but, it's also the easiest to format APA. So for the final project, this is what you're going to do. If you need to change your product, you got to do it now before Monday. So either keep what you got or change it. And then I have some, don't use a nonprofit. This is what I'm suggesting to make it really easy, but I'm going to go along with whatever you want. Late assignments, I'm not going to go into that. The final project submission is in week 9. Week 2 discussion preview, we're not going to do that. Should have said week 3. And that says thank you. And that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'm good. If you want to ask questions now, let me know. Or we'll all go home.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Oh,